No, I mean, I just again want to remind people how close we are to nuclear war. That the irresponsible policies of the Biden administration are pushing Russia into a corner from which they may have no alternative but to, use nuclear power to resolve the situation. It's not that Russia's looking for a fight; it's that the United States and NATO are creating the conditions of an existential struggle that Russia will have to make some critical decisions on how to proceed. We know that the Russians, they've announced it, that they have redone or rethought their nuclear posture.
In the complex and ever-evolving landscape of international relations, the specter of nuclear conflict looms larger than it has in decades. The current geopolitical climate, marked by escalating tensions between major powers, particularly the United States and Russia, has intensified concerns about the potential for nuclear war. This report explores the factors contributing to these heightened risks, examining the implications of recent policy decisions, the historical context of nuclear strategy, and the roles played by key state actors. Through a detailed analysis of current events and historical precedents, this report aims to provide a comprehensive understanding of the present threats and the necessary steps to mitigate them. Recent developments in international politics have heightened concerns about the possibility of nuclear conflict. A key factor in this growing anxiety is the perceived aggressive stance of the Biden administration and its NATO allies towards Russia. There is a widespread belief that the policies and actions of these Western powers are cornering Russia into a precarious position, potentially driving it towards the use of nuclear weapons as a last resort. The Biden administration's approach, characterized by robust support for Ukraine and increased military presence in Eastern Europe, has been interpreted by Russia as a direct threat to its national security. This has led to heightened rhetoric from Russian officials who argue that the West is creating conditions for an existential struggle, compelling Russia to reconsider its nuclear posture and preparedness. Russian officials have openly acknowledged a shift in their nuclear strategy, reflecting their concern about NATO's military activities and the deployment of advanced weaponry in Ukraine. Historically, Russia's nuclear doctrine has been predominantly deterrence-based, designed to prevent any potential attacks by threatening overwhelming retaliatory capabilities. However, the current strategic environment, marked by the integration of long-range NATO strike capabilities and the ongoing conflict in Ukraine, has compelled Russia to adopt a more aggressive and risk-prone stance. To fully grasp the current dynamics, it is essential to understand the historical evolution of Russian nuclear policy. Throughout the Cold War, Russia, then the Soviet Union, relied on its nuclear arsenal as a deterrent against potential aggression from the United States and its allies. This strategy was grounded in the principle of mutually assured destruction, MAD, which posited that the threat of devastating retaliation would prevent any rational actor from initiating a nuclear conflict. The end of the Cold War and the subsequent collapse of the Soviet Union brought significant changes to the global strategic landscape. Despite the reduction in overall nuclear arsenals and a shift towards arms control agreements, the fundamental principles of deterrence remained central to Russian nuclear strategy. Russia continued to maintain a robust nuclear arsenal, including a range of intercontinental ballistic missiles, ICBMs, submarine-launched ballistic missiles, SLBMs, and strategic bombers. In recent years, however, the strategic environment has evolved dramatically. The expansion of NATO, the development of advanced missile defense systems, and the increasing military presence of Western forces in Eastern Europe have all contributed to a more volatile security environment for Russia. These developments have prompted Russia to reassess its nuclear posture and adapt its strategy to address new threats and challenges. The role of NATO and Western policies in shaping the current geopolitical landscape cannot be understated. The expansion of NATO into Eastern Europe, including the incorporation of former Warsaw Pact countries and the deployment of advanced military assets, has been a significant source of concern for Russia. From Russia's perspective, these actions represent a direct threat to its national security and strategic interests. One of the key issues for Russia has been the potential deployment of long-range strike weapons in Ukraine. The Russian government has expressed strong opposition to this prospect, arguing that it would undermine Russia's defensive and retaliatory capabilities. The incorporation of such weapons into NATO's strategic plans could enable preemptive strikes against Russian command and control infrastructure, early warning systems, and even nuclear retaliation capabilities. This perceived threat has led Russia to adopt a more aggressive nuclear posture, emphasizing rapid response capabilities and increased readiness. The Biden administration's support for Ukraine and its commitment to countering Russian aggression have further exacerbated these concerns. The provision of advanced weaponry, military assistance, and intelligence support to Ukraine has been seen by Russia as a direct challenge to its strategic position. In response, Russia has undertaken significant measures to enhance its nuclear capabilities, including the development of advanced intercontinental ballistic missiles and improvements in its submarine and bomber fleets. Recent policy decisions and statements by key figures in Western governments have had a profound impact on the current geopolitical climate. U.S. Senator Lindsey Graham's comments about the economic benefits of continued conflict in Ukraine and the potential exploitation of Ukrainian natural resources have sparked significant controversy. Critics argue that such statements expose a potentially exploitative dimension to U.S. foreign policy, driven more by geopolitical and economic interests than by a genuine commitment to resolving the conflict. The failure of early peace negotiations, influenced by external actors such as former British Prime Minister Boris Johnson, has also been cited as a significant factor in prolonging the conflict. Reports indicate that Johnson's intervention in the negotiation process prevented a potential agreement that could have ended the conflict at an earlier stage. This intervention, combined with the broader strategic goals of Western powers, has contributed to a situation where diplomatic efforts have been undermined by competing national interests and geopolitical rivalries. The current geopolitical tensions echo several historical incidents that illustrate the risks of nuclear conflict and the potential for accidental escalation. One notable example is the 1983 NATO exercise Able Archer, which was misinterpreted by the Soviet Union as a cover for a preemptive strike. The Soviet response, which included putting its nuclear forces on high alert, highlighted the dangers of misunderstandings and miscommunications during periods of heightened tension. Similarly, during the Reagan administration, a false alarm involving a radar system misinterpreting a flock of birds as an incoming missile attack nearly triggered a nuclear confrontation. These historical cases underscore the critical importance of clear communication, robust verification mechanisms, and effective crisis management to prevent accidental escalation and ensure stability in high-stress situations. Diplomacy plays a crucial role in mitigating the risk of nuclear conflict and addressing the underlying issues driving the current tensions. The failure of early peace negotiations in 2022, combined with the influence of external actors, has demonstrated the challenges of achieving a comprehensive and lasting resolution to the conflict. Effective diplomacy requires addressing the legitimate security concerns of all parties involved and finding mutually acceptable solutions to prevent further escalation. The international community must prioritize diplomatic engagement and work towards a balanced and inclusive agreement that addresses the core issues of the conflict. This approach is essential not only for resolving the immediate crisis, but also for reducing the risk of broader geopolitical confrontations with nuclear implications. The current state of global geopolitics, characterized by increasing military pressures and shifting nuclear postures, has significant implications for global security. The potential for accidental escalation and the growing sophistication of nuclear arsenals necessitate urgent attention from international policymakers and leaders. The lessons from history, combined with an understanding of contemporary strategic dynamics, should guide efforts to reduce the risk of nuclear conflict and promote stability in the international arena. The need for robust arms control agreements, effective crisis management mechanisms, and transparent communication channels is more critical than ever. The international community must work collectively to address the underlying drivers of conflict, prevent misunderstandings, and ensure that strategic stability is maintained in a rapidly changing geopolitical environment. The current geopolitical landscape reflects a precarious balance, with the risk of nuclear conflict at an alarmingly high level. The interplay between the policies of major powers, particularly the United States and Russia, and the evolving strategic environment underscores the need for careful management of international relations. Historical precedents and recent developments highlight the dangers of miscalculations and accidental escalation, emphasizing the importance of diplomatic engagement and effective crisis management. To navigate these challenges and reduce the risk of nuclear conflict, policymakers must prioritize diplomatic efforts, address the security concerns of all parties, and work towards comprehensive solutions. The stakes are higher than ever, and the path forward requires a commitment to ensuring global stability and preventing the catastrophic consequences of nuclear war. The international community must remain vigilant, proactive, and cooperative in addressing the complex and multifaceted issues that define the current geopolitical landscape. If you found this analysis insightful and would like to stay updated on critical global issues, please consider subscribing to our channel and liking this report. Your support helps us continue providing in-depth analysis and timely updates on international affairs. Together, we can stay informed and engaged in shaping a more secure and stable world.